Hello, and welcome to the Spud Space Agency. So today we are trying our first foray into going to E.V.E, which is our first actual mission going interplanetary, and honestly, one of my first ever missions going interplanetary for the whole time I've had this game. So, as people who've seen me before may know, I've been playing this game, or at least owned this game, for about 10 years, I think. And, at that time, I had a computer that couldn't even run it. And it was just a bit of fun for me to play. I just like building rockets to watch them explode, to be honest. In that time, though, I've done several missions all around Kerbin. I've been to the Mun and back and Minmus and built planes on Kerbin and messed around with that. But I've barely attempted going outside of Kerbin. And outside of that, as far as I'm aware, I have never done a successful interplanetary mission. I think I've attempted Duna a couple of times, but that is pretty much it. As this is sort of my first time going interplanetary, not 100% sure what I'm doing with things, so I'm kind of just making this up where I go along. As I'm not trying to land on the planet, I'm just having to do a flyby for my first mission. I don't think I need too much, and providing this thing takes off, I think we should actually be okay with this. I don't think we need much more. I'm fairly certain I already do have crafts built that could get to E.V.E, because there's things that I've had ridiculous amounts of fuel left over for, but I wanted to try and make one specifically for it. So we've just got a basic one with the main sail, and then the, what's it called? The skipper, and then the poodle. That should hopefully be enough to get us there and back. We've got around 7,000 meters per second in vacuum. Like I say, just for a flyby, I think this should be okay. I should also put on some science. Probably not going to throw on things like the Science Junior or anything at this point, but I will add on the reusable ones. Maybe I might throw on a couple of mystery goos as well. And I think with that, let's kind of just give this a go. Okay, so I've just taken us to the tracking center because I remembered, thankfully before attempting to take off, that I could do with getting a transfer window, which means that for E.V.E, I've got a handy little diagram up on my second screen, I want about minus 54 degrees. So that means that from Kerbin to the sun to E.V.E, need about 54 degrees difference. So at the moment we're just over 90, we're at like 100, so let's speed up time. Might have gone a little bit too far with that, but I don't think that looks too bad. So I'm just going to roll with it. Yeah, I think we're maybe a little bit more like 45, but hopefully it'll still be okay. These guys have been sat on here for, I think, 2 years. I'm sure they're fine with that, though. And here we go. So, I'll be honest, I'll be very surprised if this goes well on my very first attempt, because it's generally not the way that my launches go. I will no doubt mess some part of this up. But yeah, I am excited to try something like going to a new planet. My only worry is that, as is typical with this game, that I will be all excited to go to a new planet and explore new things, and then I'll do my flyby and then I'll be like, dock 2 ships around Minmus again, for no apparent reason. Okay, so we're out of the atmosphere, just finishing getting an orbit around Kerbin. Probably could have done this more efficient and saved a bit more fuel, but we'll see how it goes. Now, this is kind of the point where I have no clue what I'm doing, because I'm not entirely sure where I'm even aiming to intersect at, to be honest. Like, that's getting me fairly close to an intersect with E.V.E.'s orbit, but I have no idea where I'm aiming to end up at. Do I just go for it? Let's quick save and just go for it. Well, we're on to our final stage now, which doesn't fill me with a great amount of hope that I've done this correct, but okay. We're going to say that that was a simulation because to seeing that if I bring this down, I can get an encounter, but it's going to cost me almost all of my Delta V to do so. That can't be right. So I'm going to see what E.V.E.'s orbit does. And then I'm going to reload. Okay, so I need to be hitting E.V.E. about here. So if I reload this... Oh! That was an encounter! Okay, so for this pretty much the same amount, that's... Okay, that's way nicer. I think previously when I've done missions as an attempt to leave Kerbin and go to... I think Juno is the only one I've really attempted before. I'd kind of try and just treat it like a rendezvous and do it lazy, so just get an orbit intersect and then try and sort it out from there. Whereas when you're going into planetary, the distances are so much further. It's so much more important to actually get your trajectory right the first time. And I think I've not done that before, so I've always ended up with, like, you know, you look up a guide to see how much fuel you supposedly need, and I've got enough. But then when it comes to actually doing the mission, I won't transfer very well, and I'll end up just running out of fuel. Oh, E.V.E. Periapsis. Well, this is already the best interplanetary mission attempt I've ever really had. Okay, so for a mid-course correction, I think aiming for about 150,000 meters should be okay. Actually, we're coming in at a fairly odd angle, but I think that's just part and parcel of it. Well, so for the first time, let's speed up time and watch as some actual Kerbols leave range of Kerbin. So I have sent out a couple of satellites previously, but this is the first time any Kerbol has left Kerbin's sphere of influence. Well, since I'm here, let's grab a crew report. I can run these science just because when I've done them previously, it was on a satellite, and so I didn't get them back. We just sent Bob out to grab all the experiments and get back in. Now we can also do another crew report, which is nice. And now these guys have got, 49 days to just chill before we do our next maneuver. How are they doing in here? Hopefully they remembered to bring enough snacks to keep them satiated on this journey. I may have gone a little overboard with that. Let's bring that back out just a little bit. There we go. We'll stick with that for now. Now, how much is it going to cost us to... We're not going to be able to capture. Right. So, bit of a predicament currently is the fact that in order to capture around E.V.E., it's going to use a lot of my Delta V. In fact, you know what? It's probably even going to be cheaper. Let's just do a quick save here. And then I'm actually just going to extend this orbit out, all the way out here. Is this now cheaper to capture? No, it is a lot more expensive to capture. Okay, well, now we know. What if we then bring it in even closer? Can we save a little bit of fuel? I don't think that's quite in the atmosphere. You know what, actually, no, that's a decent amount saved. Either way, we've still got that quick save. I've just realised I never actually said what the predicament was. I just started trying random things to try and solve it. My issue now is the fact that I only have 1,600 meters per second of Delta V left. So I can do the flyby, no problem. But am I going to be able to return to Kerbin from not an orbit, if you get what I mean? And there must be a way to. Even if it just takes a while. I think, yeah, just to make sure that I'm going to have enough Delta V to get people back home, I am not going to try and circularize my orbit around E.V.E., and I am instead just going to try and send these guys back to Kerbin straight after. Well, there we go. We are around Eve. Let's do a crew report. Let's do an EVA report. So as we're coming up on Eve, what I'm going to do is try and get these guys just immediately back home. If that's not possible, I am just going to capture them around Eve and then send a rescue mission with hopefully plenty of fuel to actually get them back. Watch some more tutorials instead of just trying to wing it, because that's what I kind of wanted to do. I didn't want to just follow a tutorial guide on how to get to Eve. I do want to try and figure a lot of this out myself, even if it goes horribly wrong. Well, we are moving away from Eve now. I guess now let's see if we can plan to get these guys back home. Okay, so luckily we have got, I'm not going to say close approach, but an approach. And they're a capture. Okay, so it does seem like we can at least get these guys home, at the very least. Might have to just drop them into the atmosphere and hope for the best. So there's probably going to be a lot of quick saves to make sure that they can survive re-entry. But at least we're in with a very good chance of getting them home. The only downside is they are going to have to sit in orbit for 5 years, which isn't the best. And let's just watch from the ship as we time warp away. We will be back soon, Eve. We will attempt to have a much more successful mission and actually get captured by your orbit. I guess that is why, at least, the game does give you your first contract as being just a flyby, which is quite nice, because I did not have enough to capture then. I think a lot of that is due to poor transfer. Looking at the Delta V maps, Eve should, in theory, be very easy to get to, but I just didn't. Well, as Eve fades into the distance, these guys have still got pretty much 6 years to just chill in this crew capsule, so hopefully they can have a nice nap. And we'll see them in 5 years and 200 days. Well, there we go. 5 years later, and we are in position to do our orbit. Hopefully the Kerbols are still all okay. How are they looking? Fairly unimpressed, but, you know, they're here. Been on this mission for 5 years and 300 days. A very long time to be sat in this small capsule. There we go. I believe that is an encounter with Kerbin. You're going home, guys. How do you feel? Completely indifferent. I think I've just destroyed any feeling that they once had by leaving them stranded up here. Well, it's nice that it's only going to take 15 meters a second to get the proper encounter with Kerbin. Cool, so that's our maneuver planned to get into Kerbin's atmosphere. I'm hoping that should be okay to slow us down just with aerobraking. Oh, look at these guys. They're happy because they know they're going home. Well, we're going into the atmosphere. Let's maybe bring it down to like 50. Hopefully that means that we won't be going too fast that we'll just immediately burn up and explode. But also hopefully even if it doesn't stop us right there and then, we'll at least still capture. We've got over 1,000 meters a second of Delta V anyway, so that should be fine. And there we go. We are back in the Kerbin system. Can we see our home planet? There we go. Typically, once again, always coming in at the night side, but I just want to make sure these guys get home, to be honest. And you know what? It's coming into sunrise as well. There we go. We are in Kerbin's atmosphere. We are going incredibly quickly. Let's Let's just burn some extra fuel off and slow ourselves down before this thing explodes. Ooh, from there. Are you kidding me? I can't believe after all that I forgot a decoupler there. I mean, it's very fitting, considering the first few flights of me playing career mode. I always forgot a decoupler. So it looks like we're not actually going to land this time, but we are captured at least. So these guys are at least going to get home. Oh, there we go. And we're still not quite safe yet. Let's go back around again. Oh, this is clearly going to take a while. I can't believe that I forgot to put a decoupler on. That's so typical. I bet these guys thought, oh, we're getting home. We can finally leave the cockpit soon. And then they proceed to spend, I don't know, I'll flash up in editing how long they've actually spent just circling their home planet, waiting till they can get back down again. Well, we've got some monopropellant. Let's use it to try and just dip this down a little bit. We should have thought of this sooner. I kind of forgot that I never put RCS on my actual shifts, but this command pod has RCS built in. Well, there we go. If only I'd have thought of that once again sooner. Is this the time when they actually get to leave? As long as the parachute doesn't explode, that's the only thing that could be an issue. Look at these two. I actually just want those to blow up, though. Then I can use my heat shield. We are actually gaining height. There we go. Now we're going back down again. Well, let's jettison this heat shield, which has done nothing for us. But there goes our parachute. Tried to do a magnometer report. Forgot that we were traveling at 200 meters a second. How fast is that in speeds I can understand? 720 kilometers an hour, 440 miles per hour. Just a little bit quick. Well, there's our parachute fully deployed. And there we have it. After 7 years and 103 days, Jeb, Bill and Bob are back home. Wow, that's a lot of science. Hey, that advanced them to level 3. That's nice. Okay, so let's see. What's the game going to give us next? Explore E.V.E. Stable orbit around E.V.E. Cool, cool. I'm glad that it's given us another E.V.E. mission, not just something random to do elsewhere. Might do that as a satellite, might just send people over there again. Doesn't have to say I get back, so potentially I could orbit and then land. Either way, we'll accept that. We have enough money, so let's upgrade this. So after that, we've got a maxed out R&D department, which is pretty nice. We've got level 3 Kerbols. We've got a lot of science. Ooh, and I tell you what, since that mission took us 7 years, and even 2 years waiting for the orbit, I think, because yeah, fairly certain we were on year 1, or at least year 2, by the time we started this mission. Let's have a quick nosy at our surface bases, because they should have gained a lot of science. Cool, how are we looking here? Sweet. Okay, so the science is full, so they can't do any more research. So let's transmit all that. Let's go and swap over to our Mun outpost. We're also maxed out here as well. Sweet. Well, that's another 1,000 science gained. Well, before we close out this video, let's see what we can spend our 3,000 science on. I might as well just unlock some of these lower tier ones. Cool, so we've locked all of up to there. Well, let's grab the high power electronics, unmanned tech, advanced science. And you know what, with 1,000 left, I might save that for a rainy day for when there's something specific I need. But anyway, as always, thanks very much for watching, guys. It's been fun doing a mission to E.V.E, something completely different than I've done before. Next time, I'm going to have a quick look and see what things I can do to be better with my landings. But yeah, next time we'll send someone over to orbit, and we might even try and cheekily send a lander in the hopes that we'll then unlock a mission to do so. Thanks very much again for watching, and see you later. Bye.